Hello friends, and welcome to another episode of Better with me, Charlotte Wagerhall. I'm also known as Skinny Schedule, and you can find me on YouTube, Instagram and Facebook. If you prefer to listen, I'm also available to download on iTunes. Search Skinny Schedule, and please like and subscribe for more episodes about how to make your life better. On today's episode, we have Clare, the owner of Gravity Yorks, a medical practitioner. We talk about the benefits and uses of facial peels and dermarolling. But even more incitingly, we talk about the plasma pen, which is newer to market. We talk about how it works, what it's used for, and the aftercare involved. This episode is going to be really useful if you're thinking about any of these treatments and the benefits and what to expect. So without further ado, welcome Clare onto the show. And a big warm welcome to Clare on the show. So Clare, you're a medical practitioner. Yes. So tell us a bit about your background, because you've actually got about 25 years in the medical profession.
Yeah. So my background was I trained in Wakefield at Pinderfields Hospital as a general nurse, and then moved over to Sheffield, did some trauma orthopaedics and some trauma plastic surgery as well. Wow. And then I decided I liked all the messy stuff, so went down to A&E. So worked there for about 20 years in A&E. And now I work 3 days a week in a GP surgery in Sheffield, which is lovely.
And that's led you going into sort of aesthetics.
It has.
Which is really cool, because you've now got your own business, Gravity Yorks, which is all yours. It's all your baby, and you offer a range of different treatments there. And I think it's nice speaking to someone who is in this field of work that also has the medical background.
Yeah.
I think that gives a lot of reassurance for someone like me, a consumer. So you've always had an interest in skin and rejuvenation. Yeah. So I guess it was natural you sort of went down that path. And I think the big thing, I think you're famous for saying a duck bill should be left on the duck. I like that. And what are your views on people that say, oh, why don't people just grow old naturally?
I think that's the thing. And to be honest, I was one of those people thinking, I'll just go grow old gracefully, you'll be fine. But do you know what? People just aren't happy sometimes. And you need to be confident and happy with the skin that you're in. And that's really one of the main reasons why I started doing it. And I recognise that people prefer somebody to have been registered and have some experience behind them. And I think, like you say, 25 to 30 years experience is huge. And the fact that I'm an advanced nurse practitioner and I can prescribe medications as well gives people the reassurance there.
Yeah, if someone's injecting something in my face or attacking me with needles, I'd much prefer
yeah.
someone that could also resuscitate me, perhaps, as well, if needed. No,
Not
joking,
that it would go that far.
No, it wouldn't go that far. but it just makes you feel reassured.
Adverse effects, I can reverse them. Then.
So it's about just looking your best, isn't it? I think that's such a big thing about doing anything like this. It doesn't. If you've had good aesthetics, then people won't tell.
It's a natural enhancement. You shouldn't be able to look around and go, she's had it, he's had it, she's had it, he's had it.
Which you can if you walk around Sheffield at the moment. I mean, Meadow Hall is rife. Those duck bills are getting bigger and bigger, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I was driving along with somebody next to somebody today, and just driving along, and I looked across in the profile. I just thought, oh no. There's another one.
There is, isn't there? It's just become so huge. I think it's the Instagram sort of generation.
It is.
We're all more focused on our looks. And I think as well, people are quite driven to do it, but there's not an awful lot we were talking earlier off camera about how the advertising standards have changed. So actually when you're trying to do your research on good places to go for these sort of procedures, it's very hard to find much information because the advertising standards are now so strict on them. Yeah. When people are wanting to get good quality work done, they might not be being able to find it.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is frustrating. So what made you make the jump then? So you were working in the NHS, very successful with that. And what made you decide, right, I want to make people look and feel better?
To be honest, it was our receptionist at the surgery, one of them. And she just said, people think that I'm really unapproachable and really cross. And she's not. She's just so lovely. She can't be more helpful, really. So she just said to me, will you just go and do some training or something? There's a few of us here that'll be quite happy to do it. And I was like, no, don't be ridiculous. You're fine, you're fine. But she was really sad. So I thought, well, go on then. If I'm a bit of a sucker for a sad face, I can't bear to see them upset. So I thought, well, I'll go and do it. And that's basically what I did. So I went and trained and helped her reduce her forehead lines.
And it was the forehead. And that
it was the. Like, I've got one here. It's just that crease. Like, it's you're looking at concentrating face. It's the one where you're on the computer and you're looking. It's your sympathetic speaking and listening face. So it was that sort of line that she was worried about. And when she's using her glasses, they call it a bunny line because she goes like that.
I was going to say that's a really good question. Do you find that sort of frown line more common with people that have glasses?
Yeah.
Makes total sense.
So because they'll, depending on what sort of glasses they wear, they might wear them down a little bit so they can see at a distance, or they might bring them up so they can see in front of them for the computer. So that's when they'll start doing.
So if
this
you want
sort of
less
thing.
wrinkles to start with, put your lenses in.
Yeah.
Great
Go
preventative before that.
And,
get
look
good
after yourself
glasses.
properly.
Before you get your Harry Potter lines or anything like that. So you went and how long is the training for something like that? Already having a medical background.
For medical people, it's only a day to do the basic training, and then you have to have a consolidation time. I consolidated for about, I can't remember, it was 6 months to a year. The minimum was 6 months, and then up to a year of doing the basic stuff, and then went on to do the advanced training, which again is only a day, but that's because they expect you to have a certain level of background. So I couldn't have gone into it and done a day's worth of work if I didn't know all my anatomy and physiology, because it just wouldn't have been safe to do that. So
especially because you have to have a lot of these are prescription based, aren't they? The aesthetics.
Yeah. A lot of the wrinkle relaxing treatments are prescription only, again, which is why you can't advertise. Yeah,
which is a strange one, because I think I understand why the advertising board are doing that, but I also think they're sort of putting consumers at risk because it's hard to find information out about good places to go.
It is hard.
Reputable places. But that's maybe for another podcast. So, but I wanted to talk about them because I'm fascinated with skincare and trying to look my best, I guess.
Yeah.
And you just see now so many different treatments and different things coming to market.
It's confusing, isn't it?
It is confusing. And it's also like, what do I go for? What do I need? Who's best for what? So I've just seen about a plasma pen. So what on earth is a plasma pen and what does it do?
It's amazing. It's an electrical device. It's amazing. And it just looks like a pen, but just a little bit wider. And what it does is as you put it towards the skin, you're anaesthetised. You have some cream on your skin, depending on where you have it done. You're anaesthetised on your skin with some cream. And then it's when you put it towards them, it's held away from the skin and it sends a little zap. People think it's a laser. It's not quite a laser. It's a plasma arc, but that's going into the technical side. But what it does is it immediately tightens your skin. So for people, one of the most common things that I get asked about are hooded eyes, so this bit coming down, and eye bags. And you can do certain treatments for it, but plasma pen is particularly good for doing it without having to go down the surgical route. And it's, like I say, it's an immediate rejuvenation, but the beauty of it is 3 months down the line, it's still working for you to rejuvenate because your body naturally tries to heal itself thinking that there's an injury there. There isn't specifically an injury there, but your body thinks it is. So it sends a lot of blood cells to it to try and heal it and stimulate collagen production, all these wonderful things to try and build up the matrix of your skin again so that it's all boosted. And it's just amazing.
That's really clever.
It's absolutely amazing.
So you can see the effects immediately after having the treatment, and it continues to
get better within 3 months, and then roughly around about 2 to 3 years as a minimum for it to stay as it is.
And then after that, does it start sort of naturally? Because I know things like Botox and fillers I've learnt now, because they sort of naturally break down, they slowly decline, so you'll slowly see it going again, and that's when you might consider it again. So who would it benefit? So we've talked about eyes, which is a really common one for ladies.
It is a really common one, and for men now as well, because a lot of men don't want to have things like Botox and fillers, but they would do something like a plasma pen rejuvenation because they might be off work for a few days, maybe 3 or 4 days, and then they would just appear back to the normal cells again. So it's a good one for men and women to have. It's also amazing for stretch marks and for scarring, so C-section scarring for women, other sorts of scarring for men and women, trauma scarring. It's good for lots of things, really.
What about acne scarring?
Yeah, acne scarring, because, again, you're rejuvenating the skin. The problem is with acne, even if you have managed to improve your skincare from acne, some people still have the pitting scars from it, and particularly men from shaving as well. Once they start shaving again, once they're more confident with their skin, they'll still have lots of the pitting scarring. So the plasma pen helps rejuvenate and helps push that space up as such and get the skin appearing.
So you can do it on quite a few areas of the body then?
Yeah.
Because I was just thinking the face for that, but you can actually do it particularly...
you can do it for sort of this area. So a lot people that have had a lot of weight loss.
Yes.
And you get the sort of bagginess that you get around here. You can do it around that area there and it will rejuvenate and tighten it up. People that have had tummy tuck scarrings, any sort of significant weight loss further down and want the tightening up. And as I say, stretch marks, it's amazing for stretch marks. I haven't done it for stretch marks myself as yet, but from what people say, it eradicates the stretch mark altogether.
Which would be a huge thing, because once you've got stretch marks, it's very hard to get rid of, and particularly with weight loss. I'm mainly known as a weight loss blogger. I do have them. They've got better sometimes, but there's not really anything else I can do that's sort of just there. And there's only so much you can do. Personally, I think about embracing them. Some people say, "Oh, you've got your tiger stripes," and
and a lot of people do like them because they say, "Oh, these are from my children. They mean everything to me." But if it stops them wearing what they want to wear or being who they want to be, then for me, that's where I come in and make the difference for them.
So how long what's an area classed as? Would someone go in perhaps for their eyes, but they also maybe have had a child and C-section? Would they have both of those done at the same time?
They could do. I mean, from what I understand so far, it generally takes around about 45 minutes to do the eyes, to do a full blepharoplasty.
Oh, wow. That's quite a long time, isn't it?
Yeah,
and it's painful.
No, because you're anaesthetised with some creams over the top first of all. So you probably have that on for a good half hour. And then it's not painful at all.
You can't feel anything.
No.
And then what would be like the side effects and aftercare of having something like that?
Afterwards, you'll have you might see it. If anybody looks up plasma pen now, they'll be able to see. Or the other name for it is fibroblasting.
Fibroblasting, yeah.
So you'll see little dots. And they'll have little dots where it's been zapped and where it's been tightened up. And that can usually last anything up to a week. Most people sort of like 4 or 5 days. Some people get a little bit of bruising around it. When you look on the internet, people will talk about electrical burns. If it's done properly by somebody that's trained well and they're using the right equipment, it's not going to happen.
So can I just ask then, is this something that someone could do without any medical background?
Yes.
Even though it can result in electrical burns?
Yes, because of the availability of things that are on the internet these days.
Right, okay. That's quite scary, isn't it? The more I delve into this world, the scarier it is about how many people can do these procedures. And it's not discrediting anyone, it's not at all. But there's always going to be someone that can get into the wrong hands of and damages people. What
I would say is beauticians do this treatment extremely well, as well as medical aesthetics trained people as well. So it's not something to be frightened of with beauticians because they can do it and they do it extremely well. But it's just making sure that the equipment's right.
How would you know? So if you did decide to go for something like that, how can you tell if someone's legitimate to go to?
I think you can probably tell by the quality of their assessment.
Right, okay.
So I would, for any treatment that you have, I would go and book in with somebody that you have heard of or you've looked up or word of mouth and have an assessment with them, see what the quality of their assessment is and how they relate with you and that sort of thing, really. I think it's kind of like going and buying your house. You walk in and you think, this is it. And I think when you walk into somebody that's either a medical aesthetics person or a beautician and you sit with them and you listen to them, you just think, they can look after me, yes.
Yeah, so go and
I think that's one of the things.
And should that be something that's offered as sort of almost like a standard?
I think for medical aesthetics, everybody should have a full medical assessment first.
And is that something that generally should be free or you have to pay a deposit for? Because I know some places you have to, just to get assessed on things, looking at an appointment. But I
think a lot of the bigger clinics, like your Harleys and things, they will get you to book a and pay a deposit for it. But usually if you've gone as far as going to Harley, you know you're going to have a treatment anyway. But I think with somebody such as me or any of the other smaller places, then I would say that you know, it should be gold standard to be free, really.
That's what I think. Because if you go and you decide, actually, it's not for me, or actually, it's not the right treatment for you for what you're looking to achieve, you shouldn't necessarily have to pay X, Y,
exactly.
Z to just find out, or go somewhere and, you know, it could be awful. It could be a bit of a grovel and then to still have
and
to
what
pay
if you
for
found out that when you got there, it wasn't the treatment for you? So if you came in and said, I wanted, I don't know, facial peel, and then they said you wanted... and I said, actually, no, I think this would suit you. You know, you need then the downtime to have a think about that. And because it was something new for you that you weren't expecting.
Cooling off period almost to think about, is this the right
absolutely.
thing for me? So so we know about the benefits. What are some of the side effects or aftercare of having something like the plasma pen?
So for the aftercare, you would, as I say, some people will be a little bit bruised afterwards, or some people might, you definitely will have all the dots. So you just need good skincare. You would be supplied with the right creams to apply afterwards, just to make sure that you look after your skin, because obviously as well, if you've got little teeny dots there, the little teeny dots are actually mini scabs, so effectively that's why your body's trying to treat it like it's a wound, and because of that you don't want to be introducing something that's been in your makeup bag, some kind of moisturising cream that's been in your makeup bag for and open for a length of time, because you might introduce infection in there, so that's a potential side effect. So we will give you some appropriate creams.
So if someone decided,
afterwards.
I don't know, like a wedding's a really popular one, isn't it? They're like, I want it for the wedding. How long, you know, would you need time off work? Would you need it so many days or weeks before like an event to...
If it was me, I would probably suggest, if it was a big event that you were going for, then I would give it at least 2 weeks. Because then you've had chance to have the treatment. If there were any complications, which I wouldn't expect, you could be treated for them, but I wouldn't expect there to be any. But also to get your skin rejuvenated so that it's working for you to get used to what you look like, because that's a big change as well. And because then, if you are comfortable, you'll feel more confident to whatever event that you go into. And that's the reason why I do this. It's about promoting people's natural enhancement and natural confidence.
Got you. So if other than sort of it looking maybe not too pleasant after, could you go back to work? Because sometimes you hear of these like lunchtime.
I don't. It's quick in the fact that it's there. If it was me, I'm expected to probably look a certain way, as in I've got to look like I'm looking after myself. So I probably would try and see if I could book a good few days off work. So I'd say to people, you know, when I book them in, have a think what you're doing over the next week.
Yes.
If there's anything on in the next week or anybody that you've got to influence or anything like that, maybe consider either that week or at least at least 4 days.
That's a great bit of advice. I think like looking in your diary and not working it. You've got an important
and I think
meeting.
that's for most treatments really. Just make sure that you've not got anything big on in the next sort of 48 hours to a week and see how you are from there.
Got you. And the other one I wanted to cover, so I say I grew up with Sex and the City. I feel like I did. In my early 20s, Sex and the City got introduced. And I'll always remember, so it was when facial peels came out. Yeah. And there's an episode of Samantha where she goes in at lunchtime, they have this peel and she'll look beautiful at this PR event and she comes out bright red like a lobster and like chunks of skin.
Yeah, facial's falling off.
So what actually is a facial peel? Who would benefit from why? Tell me more about it.
Facial peels are amazing. They are lovely. And anybody really could have them. It could be just to keep your skin rejuvenated. It could be for acne treatment, and because you would do them more often if somebody was having a problem with their skin.
Oh, so you could do them more...
Yeah,
so someone might have a
times. Yeah.
Oh,
so
right, I never knew that.
It was me, although I am slipping behind, if it was me, I would probably... I've generally got okay skin, don't tend to have many breakouts. So I will probably suggest, if it was somebody like me coming in, maybe in my age group as well, so I'm 47. So I would probably suggest somebody coming in maybe 6 weeks, 8 weeks. You can have them done more often than that if you wanted to. If it was somebody who was having a real big trouble with their acne, then you might be looking at 2 weeks, 3 weeks between each peel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it depends on what you need it for.
And is there different types of peels?
Yes, there are lots there are lots of different types actually. To be honest, a lot of them work in the same sort of way. So it's back to branding and different brands. So there are different types of people that make paracetamol. They're all one drug. So the same with facial peels. There are different brands that you could use out there.
So do they generally take off the top layer of skin using biological?
Yeah. So what they do is you get I send prep creams out to people first of all to get the face used to rejuvenating, to start breaking up the kind of like the glue between the cells as such, so that the skin's ready to receive. It is an acid. So it's a chemical peel. It's an acid, not anything that you hear nastily wise in the news. And it's they're all natural ones. So it might be a citric acid or something like that. And it's painted onto your skin, usually only for about 5 minutes. And it disrupts the way that the cells are, the dead cells on the surface. So you've got several layers of your skin. And this is about getting rid of the top layer of dead cells.
And that's the ones that make your skin look dull as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And then what happens after that is, so I would then sort of massage different serums, different creams in afterwards, and that would penetrate to the deeper layers, making the collagen boost up, making all those fibroblasts inside to work properly, and get your what we call the skin matrix functioning better, so kind of like your scaffolding inside, and that boosts your skin. It makes it look brighter, it makes it look fuller, and makes your skin work better for you. And
does it hurt? Because it does sound painful, acid on the face.
It does sound painful,
because I use some AHA treatments, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
And they can obviously sting a little bit, not massively, because they're quite low dosage, so that you can get sort of from your beauty selection. Second stores. So does it hurt? It
doesn't hurt as such. It feels odd. So for me, I feel like when I do it for me, you know, when you've been in the sun, perhaps a little bit longer than you were expecting, or you weren't expecting it to be as hot, and then you go get in the shower and you feel that sort of like, ooh, I think I've caught the sun type feeling. It feels a bit like that, so a bit hot. My friend says that she feels like it's tingling so much it feels like something's crawling on her. I said, you're really not a good advert for this. But she would have it all the time. She loves it. The results of it are amazing for her. So that's one of the chemical peels. And then you can have retinol peels. Now, the retinol peels are like your Sex and the
big thing at the moment, vitamin A, isn't it? Retinol. I think it's one of the, am I right in thinking it's one of the only proven things that prevents aging? That doesn't sound very nice, does it? Yeah,
it does have a significant effect on skin, and again, that's about disrupting the way that the cells work. So there are lots of different ones out there. So your chemical peels are what we've just talked about. When you're looking at retinol peels, they're the ones where you feel like you shed a little bit.
Right.
So with a chemical peel, you might sort of like go drier. So I go drier, which is my natural dry zone, which is here. But then you get the serums and the moisturising to help promote that. So that might happen over the sort of day 3, day 4, and then it just gradually starts getting better again. The retinol peels are the ones where it feels like it's coming off a little bit more.
Snake skin.
Yeah. So I don't personally do those because I find that I don't need to do with the people that come for their chemical peels. They're happy with those, so I don't do the retinol ones. But it is a very, very good treatment for people, and the skin is rejuvenated. It looks amazing afterwards.
So if you went for a peel, generally the practitioner would sort of be able to guide you, and I think you would be best for this one, for this, or that one. There's not like...
And I would always start them with a chemical peel first and build them up, because the thing that most people come into me and say is, my face isn't going to fall off, is it?
Yeah. They've been watching Samantha. This is the problem. This is the problem. So after, do you need any downtime off work? Because I'm guessing it feels maybe a bit sore. I'm guessing it should maybe avoid the sun for a little bit after.
Yeah, you must avoid the sun. And one of the creams that I give is a significant SPF to make sure that your skin is protected, because you've got baby new skin underneath.
And is that about 2 weeks'
time? About 2 weeks,
yep.
Although I would recommend that you wear SPF all the time from a medical background. So, yes, you would have... an element of just being careful and looking after yourself, really, for those 2 weeks. From a downtime perspective, I usually tell people they'll look, with the chemical peel, they'll just look a bit pink, just like they might have been to the gym or something like that for that day. But I try and encourage people to have them on a day where they can leave the products on for as long as they can. If they've just had all that nourishment put back into the skin, then don't wash it off and go out on the night. You know, make sure it's a time when you know that you can just live in those creams. Yeah, for that night. And then you're back to normal the next day.
You're back to normal the next day?
Yeah.
So after a chemical peel, you literally, other than that day, the next day you wake up and...
Yeah, just all back to normal. Yeah.
See, that's different to what I thought. Is the vitamin A one then a little bit longer because the shedding? Or?
I would have thought so. It's not, like I say, it's not something that I do, but there may be a little bit more downtime. But I don't know enough about it, to be honest, because it's not one that I offer.
Got you. And is it, so the average person is it sort of not recommended? That might not be the right word. Like, is it something you should maybe try like once a year? You should treat yourself to that, or people should look at courses?
I think it's a good thing to do if you're somebody that doesn't particularly like to use lots of skincare, because some people just can't be bothered and some people don't like it or they can't find something that suits them. I think it's a good treatment to have just every so often. You know, maybe even every couple of months, just treat yourself to something if you weren't somebody that thought. And also it's budget as well, isn't it? You know,
I mean, it just is never ending for us women, isn't it? It's like the line's got to draw somewhere, you know? I need to be a millionaire for all these different treatments. Yeah,
I do have guys that have this treatment though as well, because they the guys that have come to me, they don't like to do all the skincare and they don't want to be putting all the moisturiser on. Like?
Although he does sometimes pinch my moisturiser and put a mud mask on.
Yeah, you should. You should look after yourself.
I'm getting glared at now. But yes, men should look after themselves too.
Yeah.
Because we have to age and watch their faces as well, don't they? We're looking after ours. So I'm quite impressed at that, actually, because I thought it was going to be a lot worse with that. And then the next one I sort of wanted to talk about. So Kardashians are sort of setting the trend for everything that comes through to us mere mortals. And I once saw, and I was pretty horrified at the time, actually, it looked like a pastry cutter.
Yeah,
going over the face and lots of sort of like needle marks, which I now know is that Dermarolling.
Yeah, so Dermarolling is a brand, so it's skin needling.
Okay, skin needling.
And so skin needling is the actual treatment. Dermarolling is a brand. There's lots of other brands out there, but most people would look up Dermarolling because they see it on the Kardashians. And the idea of that is, so if I had a client come to me, it would usually be for, is there anything you can do for tightening my skin to make it look and feel plumper without you putting fillers in? Or I've heard that you can have this treatment for acne. It's good for scarring, so I've heard, and it's great for scarring. Is there anything I can do for fine lines and wrinkles? So that's the sort of thing that Dermarolling is really good for. It gives you, in essence, it doesn't give you the facelift. People automatically think it will give them a facelift, but it does tighten the skin. And the reason it does that is because, again, it's back to those layers of the skin. The needle depth, you are numb before. So it's not numbed with needles, it's numb with a cream. So you have a cream on for around about half an hour, and then we wipe the cream off, and while you're nice and numb, you have this, it looks like a pastry cutter or mini painting roller that you put behind your radiator, that sort of thing, and it's rolled in different directions on the face or the skin. It could be anywhere on the skin. You see a lot of people on YouTube sort of like doing it down the buttocks, down the thighs for cellulite.
Oh, right. Does that help with cellulite?
It does. What I would say...
Does it get rid of cellulite?
It'll never get rid of cellulite, but it will make your skin work harder for you. But what I would say is, as a caution, when you do see it on YouTube, if you see people bleeding from it, it's not right.
Well, that's I think when I first saw it, I was like, what on earth is this? You know, they're absolutely like caked, as you can imagine, like caked in blood, which, you know, I don't know anything about it.
There are different needle depths. Beauticians are allowed to go up to a certain needle depth, and then anybody medically trained, nursing trained can go to a deeper needle.
And it's deeper, the better.
It depends on what you want it for.
Right, okay.
So, yes, so if you have got a really specific problem with acne and rejuvenation, then you may need to increase your needle depth. You might not. You might just need it a little bit more often.
Right, okay.
And
might you have different depths on different places?
Not on your face, no. And it's only like a pencil sort of pressure. So you don't need to be sort of like when you see it on YouTube and they're like that, aren't they? Like they're mowing the
Yeah.
lawn. And no, it's not like that at all. It's when I do it for people, it's literally just brushing different directions on the skin, sort of like Union Jack stripe directions. And it might, when I say bleeding, you might bring a little bit of a dot to the surface. Yep. If that, but what it does is it inflames it. And the natural inflammation process, again, similar to what the plasma pen does, your body sends lots of blood cells trying to repair and thinking, what's going on here? And tries to repair it all. So it automatically starts boosting that deeper layer of the skin to try and heal you, even though you've not got anything specifically to heal as such. So that's the way that it works. So acne scarring, when you have that pitting of the scarring, we roll in the different directions there. The collagen deep down is stimulated to wake up and it pushes that scar up. And that's how it works for scarring, for dimpling, for cellulite, for fine lines and wrinkles.
So again, not just on the face, this one then?
No, not just on the face, yeah.
And so after you have something like that done, a downtime?
I will probably say, again, similar to facial peels, the next day you should be fine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's different to what I expected.
So you can wait a little bit longer. Some people, it depends on the fairer the skin. So if it was on me, I'm quite fair. So I will probably give it a 24 hours before I was going somewhere in particular. But I give you all the serums and stuff for afterwards. I don't just sort of like go, there you go, and send you on your way. Yep. So I give you some aftercare as well, because I think that's important to make sure that you're still nourishing and helping the treatment carry on.
Which is what you need, isn't it? I think it's that aftercare and pre-care that's missing in a lot of places. So for women in their 20s and 30s, which most of them are, and I'm not discrediting anyone else that's watching, guys, it's just most of you are between 20 and 30 females that watch this at the moment. What are some of maybe the top treatments that people of those age groups would be looking at?
I would definitely say skincare is a big thing, and nutrition. From a nurse perspective, nutrition. If you can, I'm not saying that you can't.
Excuse me.
You okay?
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't go out and enjoy yourself and, don't deprive yourself of things. You'll know that. Deprivation doesn't work for people. But I think look after yourself because that will help your skin perform better. And then any treatments that I can offer or anybody else can offer, this will enhance that. So if you're going to look after your skin, I would say good skincare, good nutrition, facial peels if you can. Yeah, absolutely. Water is absolute key.
I mean, you see it straight away, don't you, when you're dehydrated on your skin?
Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely. And my daughter's always moaning at me because I'm forever saying, have you had a drink yet? Have you drunk yet? Have you taken a drink to school? But hydration's absolute
She'll
key.
thank you when she's older.
Yeah, she will.
So hydration's a big one.
Hydration.
And then moving on to chemical peels.
Yeah, I would say chemical peels is a really nice treatment to have. It keeps you really well rejuvenated. And the Dermaroller is a good one if you feel that you need a little bit more deeper type of treatment.
And what about if people have had, because so many people now have had, like we said when you look around, like if people have had things like Botox or fillers or any other treatment, can they then go and have some of these things like the Dermaroller where the needle's going in, or will they not be able to? Oh, they can.
Yeah, they can still have all that because it's making the skin work.
Okay.
What I would say is if you're going to have those treatments, leave at least 2 weeks between them, mainly because, not because you'll necessarily do any damage as such, but it's trying to see if there's a reaction to one or the other.
Right. Okay.
So from a medical perspective, I would want to make sure that if you've had your injectable wrinkle relaxing treatments, that you've not had any reaction to that, any bad reaction to it in one way, shape or form. So I'm talking about allergies and things like that. If you had in the same day a chemical peel, which I know a lot of people do this sort of thing, if you have a chemical peel in the same day and your skin reacted, how would you know which one didn't work for you? So I would say a good 2 weeks between treatments is a good length of time to make sure that they are safe treatments for you to have and for the future, really.
That's really wise words, isn't it? So we're talking looking after yourself, maybe a chemical peel, maybe if you want that little bit extra, the Dermaroller.
Yeah, skin needling,
good to know, isn't it? So what are your 3 tips for success? Moving on to something else.
In business or generally?
Generally. I always like ending on sort of like the 3 tips for success or your formula for success.
I personally, the things that I tell my children are be kind, be respectful, and listen to people. Because if you don't listen to people, how do you know how you fit into that person's life? So, and that works in business as well. So, yeah, be kind, be respectful, and listen. I think
like
are the
that.
main
That's
things.
nice. And is there anything that you would love people to know? So from a practitioner point of view, you just think like about keep the duck bills on the ducks.
Yeah.
Like, is there anything that you want to sort of put out there as well?
Yeah, I think, we all see the things in media as to what you should and shouldn't have. What I would say is just be natural. Just be you. You've been created on this earth for a reason. And if it makes you be confident, yes, have treatments done. That's absolutely fine. And that's when people like me are here. But be you is the main thing, I would say. It's the main message. Don't be somebody else. Just be you.
I like that. So where can people find you on socials?
So it's on Facebook, it's Gravity Aesthetics. And on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Gravity Yorks. I do have a website as well, but it's only for information only currently because I'm having a new one done. But that's gravityaesthetics.co.uk.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank
and I feel like
you.
I'm off to go and assess my face further in the mirror now. I feel like these podcasts are going to end up costing me quite a lot of money.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for your time.